Satnam. Welcome to Looking Up with me, Teg Prakash. All right, we're here because it's the full moon. We're working with the full moon energy, and we want to know what we actually have available to us. So the full moon is always considered a time of release and beginning the waning process, whether it's in the context of your outer experience or your inner experience. It all kind of reflects upon one another, right? But it's the moon, so we're focused on the inner experience. If we focus on the inner experience, then we have a greater connection to the outer experience, because the outer experience then is reflecting what we're working on, instead of trying to work on the things that is reflecting what our inner experience is, but we're trying to work on the outer. It just doesn't work best that way. And this is also a very important time for my brain wanted to say indulgence, but that's not the word. Self-study. We'll just go with that. So it's the Virgo full moon. We have the Virgo full moon, and we're working, obviously we're working with Virgo energy. It's a very stable and collected and grounded kind of energy, Virgo, right? That's the idea, is to be stable and collected and grounded so that you can practice and focus and be in a specific beam, a specific trajectory. Now, we're working with that in this lunar cycle, which is the Aquarius lunar cycle, because we had the new moon in Aquarius, which was on the 9th of February in most places in the world. It was the 9th of February, and that had a very specific social connection, right? It was happening, and it connected fairly tightly to these north and south nodes of the moon, which always ties in the kind of social element. And there's been a lot of interesting developments in that sense. But now we're here at the full moon phase of the Aquarius lunar cycle. So we're allowing for a release, and with Virgo as our compass, as our pointed attention, we look at what parts of our habits, what parts of our determination, what parts of our practice and improvement need to be looked at again, need to be reevaluated, reinterpreted, maybe even reorganized, so that they can become more serviceful to us, to our growth, to our purpose. And so let's bounce back. The full moon exact time is 4:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And by the time you're listening to this, it's already past that. But for me, it's not quite there yet. The other fun part about this is a sidebar, but it's a fun part, and it really ties in. So we get this full moon, which is also the mark of, well, it's called the Day of Miracles. In the Tibetan tradition, it's practiced as the Day of Miracles, and it's not just today, but the first 15 days of the lunar year are practiced as these days of manifestations. So they celebrate the miraculous manifestations produced by the Buddha as he essentially went out to show his devotees that he was of a certain power, right? There was a showing of this to bring about a belief, to bring about a faith and a following. And so anyway, we're at this Day of Miracles. The time that we're in with, the first 15 days of the lunar year, but also just today, is a time of miraculous amplification. It's said, there's various translations, there's various different interpretations of it, and I'm going to butcher this name possibly because the internet doesn't know how to tell me how to pronounce it, but Chotrul Duchen, I believe it's Chotrul Duchen. We're going to go with that. It's the Day of Miracles. It's the 15th day of the lunar year and the first full moon of the year. And it's everything is amplified. Everything is amplified. There's a miraculous amplification of everything that we experience and everything that we do. Most pointedly, there's an amplification of the effect that we have. So good and, well, we won't say that. We'll say positive and negative actions. The results are amplified by, depending on which translation you look at, you have everything from many to hundreds of millions, which is also many. Anyway, bring that into your mind while we think about this, while we think about the Virgo full moon, what needs to be shed. It's like Virgo is the essence of service. It's the sign of the servant, which the word has become, while it's become negatively interpreted in modern Western society, because a servant is nearly synonymous with the word slave, but that's not the meaning of the association. It's not the meaning of the initial association when the word servant was associated with Virgo. The word servant is one who is of service. And that can be many different ways. That can be many different things. The great saints of the Christian history, Christian, Catholic, whomever's history, the great saints of any great religion or great culture were in pure service to the people around them and to the world at large. And that is Virgo. Now, that's where Virgo and Pisces share their frequencies. It's a devotion. It requires a devotion. There's a kind of release of everything outside of a single focus. With Virgo, it's devotion to better. And devotion to improvement, a practice to become pure, to become worthy of God. And Pisces, a devotion to merging with God and becoming one with God. And that's where Pisces and Virgo mix it up. It's also why I'm wearing this t-shirt with my dude Edgar Allan Poe on it. He wasn't either a Virgo or a Pisces, but he had a very strong Pisces inclination. And that inclination was, it's decidedly part of God. That inclination was part of God. He was exploring something that was connected to the spirit, regardless of how he managed to get there or what he had to go through to be in that space. He was channeling a certain type of essence, right? That's what art is. That's what creation is. It's a channeling of God. So anyway, sidebar. Service. How can you serve more completely? How can you be more devotional? How can you be more devoted to yourself? We get this Aquarius lunation, right? We're in the Aquarius lunar cycle. How can you be more devoted to your own self, your own development? And how can that be seen as the primary requirement for being of greater service to the world? How can that feed society in a way that actually benefits everyone? You think Aquarius is development of self. It's the development of the individual identity. And then we get into Virgo, service. Aquarius is also the development of the network of the whole of people. It's the whole expanse of individuals which encapsulates humanity. The Virgo frequency is what can you move out of the picture? And this is always the Virgo frequency, which is why the Virgo full moon is kind of fun for this. The Virgo frequency is best practiced as one that is removing of excess. It is it's prudence. One of the cards, one of the Virgo cards in tarot is prudence, the ability to be nearly almost stoic and to be focused on one thing and to not let other things interfere with that, to be organized and aligned and orchestrated so that you are taking steps in the right direction and you're not wandering off the path to make detours, and you're not, spending too much money over here and diverting your attention and energy over there. You're narrowing the field of vision. You're releasing the things that are not necessary, and you're narrowing your field of vision to become devoted to that one path, whether that's a path to God or Satan or, I don't care where, South Florida or Timbuktu, the path to somewhere, whatever your decided goal is, whatever your heart's desire, or more accurately, whatever your soul's requirement is. It's like, what did your soul show up here to do? And not just like what makes you feel good and what's been like a thing that's been really good for you and this and that. That can be the thing. But to really discover what your soul came here to do and to devote yourself to that. So there's a powerful cycle in this. We can work with some of that. There's other things interacting. That's a heady way of putting it. But if you want to take it that far, this is Virgo season. It's like, what is perfection? What is perfection, and why are you not moving toward perfection? You'll never get there. That's probably why most people don't move toward perfection, but they're always moving toward something better, whether they know it or not. We wouldn't move if we didn't think something was better. Here's an example. I was on the other side of the room earlier. I had to get across the room to do a small, mundane, and mostly inconsequential thing in the scheme of humanity and in the scheme of the universe. But my perception was that moving from this side of the room to that side of the room to do that thing led to a better outcome. And that better outcome was accomplishing that which needed to be done so that I could move on to the next larger scale thing, the next phase of my movement in the evening or whatever. It's like I had to get certain things done so I could get up here on the stage. It's like we're always moving towards something that we see as better. So now why not just move towards something that we see as perfect? It's like if we have a perfect at the end of the visual field, then there's always something to move toward. Everything within that path serves the movement toward that perfection, and that's the way of Virgo. And you have to get rid of a lot of shit to get that frequency going. You have to get rid of a lot of shit to get that frequency going. This lineage is it's packed with Virgo energy. And Guru Jagat was a Virgo. You got Hari Jivan is a Virgo. Mandev is a Virgo. Yogi Bhajan, Virgo. There's many powerful Virgo frequencies within the practice of Kundalini Yoga, and it's a very well. It can be, if you devote yourself to it, a very strict and specific path. And why was I mentioning that? I'm not sure. I got lost a little bit, and maybe I covered my point. The Virgo frequency, you get rid of a lot, you focus on a singular path, and you see perfect somewhere at the end of the visual field, and you can move toward it. Everything in between here and there becomes in service to the whole journey to perfection. And there's the trap of judgment along the way, which is like judging yourself for being here and not there, even though there is technically unreachable, and here is where you've made it to. You've already, the judgment of where you are now and seeing that in a negative context is completely omitting everything that has led you to that point. So that's an important part of the Virgo frequency. It's like to understand where you are now, who you are now, what you've accomplished, what you've overcome, what kinds of challenges you've seen and faced and fucking toppled over to get to where you are, and to understand tomorrow you'll be a little bit further, and a little bit further, and a little bit further, and a little bit further. The incremental improvement, the constant devotion to forward movement is Guru Jagat said it a lot. It probably wasn't her that originated it, but the specific way that she said it was to move the ball forward every day. To no matter what you do throughout the day, no matter how you do it, no matter what your distractions and other shit is, it's like you have a ball, you move it forward every single day. You move it forward every single day. You do something to move it forward every single day. Now that we've gone through all of that extraneous nonsense, we also have other things interacting with it. And those other things are important because the ruler of this moon, the ruler of the sign of Virgo, is Mercury. And Mercury has just moved into Aquarius just a couple of days ago, ish, and it's interacting with the sun. It's a few degrees away from the sun it's just moved into Pisces. It's a few degrees away from the sun in Pisces. And that brings the ruler of the full moon into the picture very powerfully, because the moon in Virgo is opposing the Mercury in Pisces, where Mercury is not precisely all that happy. It is, it's like, well, there's a very fun visual way to think about it. It's taking the precision of an ink pen or a very fine paintbrush, and we'll just go with that, very fine paintbrush. You dip that fine paintbrush into a pool or a droplet of water, and that precise tip, that precise bit of ink on the tip of the paintbrush turns into a boundaryless orb of smoky semi-coloration. That's Mercury in Pisces. That's a good analogy for Mercury in Pisces. So if you think of it that way, the precision that's necessary for careful, calculated thought is playing out through a very unprecise, a very low precision energy, the energy of Pisces, where precision is not adored nor utilized very often. So we have that, and it brings this kind of call to more carefully evaluate. So anything that you're evaluating, there's always distractions and things, and you can sometimes you can half-ass it and it works just fine. Other times you really have to take the time to focus, do the thing properly, and to set yourself up properly. Now, do a practice. Set yourself up to do a practice for the next 2 weeks as we ride out the last part of this lunar cycle, the last 2 weeks of the lunar cycle, and give yourself enough space to do that in a precise and dedicated and devotional way. Maybe that's something that you can do. It's Pisces season, so any kind of spiritual practice, the beauty of Pisces season, though it is not precise, it is It's connected with the divine. It's where we actually get to reach the divine. It's the precision of the real world that separates us often from divinity, because divinity is not precise. Divinity is all-encompassing. It exists in everything, but is not contained within a single thing. Or no, there's a better way to say that, but Pisces, wash it. It's all available. You practice now in Pisces season, and you get a greater. You just. The transmission speeds are a little higher. Upload and download times are greatly reduced, and you can move a lot more of this divine data from the cosmic forces down into yourself and bring it into the real world so that you can use it in the real world. So you do a practice of some sort. You devote yourself to a practice of some sort, and if it's a spiritual practice, all the better. But any practice, any devotion, any stable, practical application of your human capacity works and helps and does much for you. Now, also interacting with this loosely, less tightly, but it's close enough. It's in Pisces. It's 4 degrees away. So we got Mercury. It's 3 degrees away from the sun. We have Saturn 4 degrees away on the other side. It doesn't necessarily matter for anybody that isn't too familiar with astrology. Just play along with me. Saturn in Pisces gives us, again, this frequency of an energy that is grounded and real, playing out through the realm of the spirit. But the beauty of Saturn, the divinity of Saturn and Capricorn, being Saturn's natural home, is the striving for improvement, the striving for something better. With Saturn, it's like the climbing of mountains. It is the reaching of the top, the pinnacle of potential. And when that happens in the real world, what is left after that? You have to transcend that limitation of the real world. You have to move into the spiritual. And there's also the constant find a peak, move to a valley, to climb to another peak. You can move yourself into new dedications and new practices and devotions and masteries. Saturn in Pisces calls for us to do that in the spiritual context, in the spiritual realm. So we, once again, have something that has the dedicated follow through to actually give us the energy to fucking really put in some work. Good work. Virgo rules work. So we want to put in the work. We have to put in the work. So we have Mercury and Saturn interacting with the sun in Pisces and opposing the moon in Virgo. Then, that's a little... No, I wanted to say it for a reason. All right, speed round for a couple of things. The sun and moon are also interacting with harmoniously, although again, loosely, it's 5 degrees off from an exact aspect, the planet of Jupiter in Taurus. And Jupiter is here to expand, increase, and amplify. Jupiter in Taurus is here to increase and amplify our ability to perceive value. It is not here necessarily. Now, this is where I want to make sure. Think of this positively. Think of this very positively. Jupiter in Taurus is not positive or negative. We really think that we want to focus on just the positive and always but we don't as human beings. That's the thing. It's like we can say, I only focus on the positive, and it's like these prosperity practices, and it's the good and always abundant and this and lush, and yes, it is those things. But this is a part where the Virgo energy comes in. We don't want to deceive ourselves into thinking that we are only focusing on the positive. And I want to amplify this focus right now. The energy of Jupiter in Taurus is to amplify our perception of value. It is your choice what to do with the value that you see. You can bring it to you. You can reject it. You can move it to other people. You can accept it as a reality and stare at it for a while. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. But the amplification of perceived value, or no, the amplification of the perception of value, it's value becoming real. You get it? It's value becoming real. It's not real unless we perceive it, right? The Pavlovian, not Pavlovian. Oh God, who's the guy? No, Pavlov was the dog. He trained the dogs. Schrodinger, the Schrodinger thing. It's not real until it is perceived. So when we amplify the perception of value, we amplify value. So what to do with the new value? What to do with the amplified value? We have to choose what to do with it. It's there, it's available, it's abundant, and it's gonna fucking flow somewhere. So anyway, you decide what to do with it. So we have harmonious interaction with this moon in Virgo. How do you activate that? Put in the work. You put in the work. You shed what needs to be shed. You rid yourself of the things, the extraneous, the extra, the overweight and overburdened pieces of what you have in your surroundings, and narrow your field of vision. And you'll accomplish more that way. It's another good analogy. The reason why, that was not a speed round at all. I'm getting distracted. All right, so the rest of this speed round, the moon is also in this what's called an inconjunct, or I can't remember the other name off the top of my head. An inconjunct. It's not a challenging aspect. It's a choice aspect. We have a choice between the moon in Virgo, which is devotion, steadiness, dedication, and another powerful force, which is Mars and Venus, who have come together and are still very near each other in Aquarius. And that those two, Mars and Venus, are in a challenging aspect with Jupiter. So we have a challenging aspect between Mars and Venus and Jupiter. We have a harmonious aspect between Jupiter and the moon, and we have a choice between the moon, Venus and Venus and Mars. When we boil all that down, there's a lot of ways to interpret that. But the way that I see it, the way that I feel this when I look into the chart is we have to stay focused. That's all. You stay focused, you stay dedicated, and you actually focus on that thing. Now, when you choose one thing, you do not lose the other. The energy doesn't go away. It is just brought out of focus. And when you have a challenging aspect between our perception of value and our physical and emotional reality, then focusing on that challenge in a time of dedication and devotion to something spiritual is not the way to do it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work as well. So you choose the lunar energy, you choose the subtle energy of the moon in Virgo, and you dedicate yourself to something, whether it's, not eating too many sweets on a given day, or getting into a better morning routine, or practicing that meditation for a couple extra minutes, or any number of minutes at all, any meditation, just do something. Whatever it is, you focus on that little bit of dedication, that little bit of determination, that little bit of work that you have to do to get where you want to go in the future. And and the rest sorts itself out. That challenge between our physical and emotional movement in the world, Mars and Venus, that challenge fades off. So it's no longer in a challenging interaction with that new perception of value. It's no longer in that. So that part sorts itself out. You choose the lunar energy, it harmonizes with the perception of value. Instead of choosing the physical and emotional movement in the world, and that challenges the perception of value, and you lose track of the work. Basically what it means is don't get fucking distracted. That's all. Don't get distracted. Just let everything feed into your dedication and your determination, and everything's just going to be fine. Right, the single focus. Fun fact. Quick fun fact about projectiles. So, a bullet, granted not all, but like your standard round in an American hunting rifle, for the most part, when fired, will not penetrate all the way through a 40-pound bag of sand. The velocity of it, the pure velocity of it stops it, because the damage done to the object is very intense, and it creates a mushroom. You get the mushroom effect at the tip of a bullet, and that's, it's a common thing. You think about a bullet that's been fired into something, and you immediately conjure up an image of that mushroomed projectile. An arrow fired at a bag of sand will go clean through, because it moves at a pace that does not destroy it. It moves at a pace that is fully focused on one tiny tip, and the sharper the arrow, the cleaner the movement through the obstacle. And compared to an arrow, a bullet is not sharp. It's really just not. That's not how they make them. So arrows are very important in this. The concept of narrowing your projected movement to such a degree that the obstacles are absolutely meaningless. That's all. All right. Have an awesome rest of the lunar cycle. Have an awesome full moon cycle. Enjoy the day, whatever practice you get into, enjoy that. Enjoy the process of developing a better self. And let's manifest some magic. It's miracle season. It really, really is. Between like the whole element of Pisces coming into the mix, a bunch of, Mercury just moved in, Saturn's there, Neptune's there, the Sun is there, Mars and Venus are going to move in before too long, and we're all just going to enjoy it. So it's I'm going to say it again, and I'm probably again going to say it wrong. Chotrul Duchen. I hope I'm saying it relatively right. It's the day of miracles. So enjoy the miraculous. Enjoy it's all miraculous. Just enjoy it. All right. So no.